Betrayal has a way of creeping into life when you least anticipate it. For me, it began with the soft ding of a notification on my phone, a sound that instantly fractured my world. Today, I find myself shouting into the silence, releasing all my frustration, pain, and heartache because there's no one else I can turn to. My wife, my partner for over 10 years, is cheating on me. The weight of that truth hit me like a gut punch. I've spent the last 2 days spiraling, overthinking, dissecting every moment of our life together as if under a microscope, desperate to understand how we ended up here. When did the warm life we built together start to feel cold and inadequate to her? We had it all: our dream home, steady careers, no money worries, no battles with addiction. We even sought therapy, believing it would strengthen us. Our daughter, healthy and radiant, was our greatest joy. Our relationship, as I always saw it, was whole and deeply fulfilling. In just a few short months, we would have celebrated 6 years of marriage and 11 years since we became a couple. The blow of betrayal was devastating. I stumbled upon the truth purely by accident. On that Monday night, my daughter's tablet was dead, so I reached for my wife's iPad to let her watch a bedtime video. My wife was away on a trip, due back in 4 days. As I passed the device to my daughter, a cascade of messages flooded the screen, notifications from a man I didn't know, punctuated with a winking emoji that paralyzed me. Something inside urged me to dig deeper. The reality I uncovered was unbearable. They had been secret meetings, nights spent together, romantic dinners, even plans for a cruise she had told me was a bachelorette getaway with a friend. A trip I had encouraged, proud that she was reconnecting with her social life, something she said she missed since motherhood made her feel so isolated. Each outing she'd told me about was a lie, a carefully woven story to cover her affair. The deception crushed my spirit. I had given her my full trust, unwavering support, believing in us without hesitation. Knowing the effort she put into hiding this betrayal cuts deeper than I can say. For 2 days, I existed in a fog of rage, sorrow, and disbelief. I cried until I was empty, cleaned the house to distract myself, and cried some more, trying to prepare for the confrontation that I knew was coming. I packed a few of her things, then unpacked them, uncertain of what to do next. Eventually, I gathered the evidence: screenshots, photos, messages, and plans. I contacted a lawyer to start divorce proceedings. Then, unexpected, she returned home early on a Sunday morning, hoping to surprise me. I was sitting at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, tears staining my cheeks. When she walked in, I silently slid the folder with the proof and the divorce papers across the table. Her words blurred into a haze of half-hearted apologies, angry denials, and broken promises. I stayed firm, calm, telling her I wanted a divorce and that we would sort out custody, finances, and everything else through our lawyers. It was one of the most painful moments of my life. She left with just a suitcase, retreating to her parents' home. My parents and best friend came by to support me and my daughter in those dark hours as I tried to piece my shattered world back together. But the emotional pain turned physical. On Monday, I got a call from my clinic. My routine STI test revealed she had infected me with herpes simplex virus type 2. The shame, the humiliation, the raw anger crashed over me again. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was tangible, physical. I couldn't face talking to her privately about it, so I brought it up during a lawyer-mediated meeting. Saying those words out loud in front of her and the attorneys filled me with a deep sadness, but it had to be said. What stung most was her reaction. No remorse, no apology. The woman sitting across from me, the one I'd loved, married, built a future with, felt like a stranger. Her face was familiar, but her eyes were cold and distant, an unrecognizable version of the person I once knew. Nearly a month has passed since I found out, and the path forward is still uncertain. I've turned to an online support group where I draw strength from others' stories, slowly rebuilding my life piece by piece. The road ahead is daunting, but one thing is clear: I deserve better. My daughter deserves better. This isn't how I pictured the end of our marriage, it's not the ending I wanted. but it's a beginning too. As I step into this unknown, I hold fast to the truth that her betrayal is not about my worth or my failures, but about the choices she made. It's not easy, but I am determined to heal, to grow, and to find peace again. The first few weeks after the discovery felt like walking through a storm without an umbrella. Every day brought fresh waves of disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. I would find myself caught between moments of numbness and overwhelming sorrow. My daughter became my anchor, her innocent laughter and bright eyes reminding me that life still had meaning beyond the pain. Our divorce process was mercifully straightforward, cut and dry. Finances were divided, the house was thankfully under my name, and we just had to wait out the mandatory 90 days. I thought I might have seen the worst of it, but life had more heartbreak in store. One day she dropped a bombshell. She wanted to terminate her parental rights to our daughter. Our baby girl who had just turned 1, whose first word was "Mama," who looked at her mother with boundless love. She no longer wanted to be a mother to her. That moment shattered me anew. How does a mother walk away from her child? How do you make sense of someone rejecting the very life you both created? She told me she didn't want anything to remind her of our daughter. No photos, no keepsakes, no memories. She took only her clothes and electronics and disappeared from our little girl's life. It's been weeks since she last saw or spoke to our daughter. When the court date came for her petition to terminate her rights, I wasn't sure how I would even look at her. This pain was not mine alone. It belonged to my daughter too. She's too young to understand now, but someday she will ask why her mother left, and I dread having the answers. I'm trying to be strong, to keep pushing forward, but every day feels like the hardest day of my life. Support from my family and friends became my lifeline. My parents moved in to help with our daughter, and my best friend checked in every day, making sure I ate and slept despite the whirlwind of emotions. Therapy became a refuge, a place to untangle my mess of feelings and slowly reclaim some semblance of peace. 8 months have passed since I first shared my story in that dark, raw moment. To everyone who reached out with kind words, advice, and support, thank you. I couldn't respond back then. My life was upside down, but your messages were a light in the abyss. It's hard to believe the time has passed so quickly, but here I am, still standing, still fighting. The divorce was finalized without complications. I was granted full custody of my daughter, a bittersweet victory given what it cost. My ex continues to push to terminate her parental rights and hasn't seen our daughter in 7 months despite numerous offers from me for visits, video calls, even flying out to see her. Her answer is always no. Her parents, however, have remained involved with my daughter, video calling regularly. We're even planning a visit for this summer. But the relationship between my ex and her family remains strained, adding another layer of confusion and sorrow I don't fully understand. I've come to accept that I probably never will. What I've accepted is this: I cannot force her to be someone she is not. Her choices are hers alone, and I have to focus on what I can control, being the best father I can be. In the midst of all this chaos, there is a glimmer of hope. We moved to a new state. I never thought I'd live in Arizona, but this fresh start has been a blessing. My parents moved with us, and their happiness has been infectious. My daughter is thriving, turning 2 this July, a little miracle with an insatiable curiosity and a laugh that fills every room. She can say her ABCs, count to 20, and has a sense of humor that surprises me daily. Her love for comedy, something she's picked up from me, shines through in every giggle and silly face. She is my motivation to heal, to grow, and to build a new life out of the rubble. Therapy remains crucial, sometimes painful but necessary. I've gained some weight from the stress, but physical changes pale compared to the emotional work I'm doing. Dating isn't on my mind yet, and honestly, I'm okay with that. My priority is my daughter and giving her a safe, nurturing environment. Some days are harder than others. The weight of everything can be overwhelming. But then I remind myself of something my therapist said. The sun will rise again tomorrow, the birds will sing, and life will go on. I'm not the same person I was 8 months ago, and I believe that's a good thing. I've learned that even in the darkest times, light can be found, in my daughter's laughter, in my family's support, and in the tiny victories of rebuilding a life from the ashes. This story isn't over. It's just a new chapter, one I'm determined to write with hope and resilience. In the months that followed, life demanded that I find strength in places I never thought possible. The initial shock of betrayal had been replaced by a steady determination to build a new future for my daughter and myself. Every morning, I woke up with the weight of responsibility pressing hard on my chest, yet something inside refused to let despair win. The process of healing wasn't linear. Some days were a mess of tears and painful memories, others filled with small moments of joy and hope. I focused on creating routines for my daughter, establishing stability in our new home. From morning cartoons to bedtime stories, I became her world and she became mine. Her milestones became my victories. Each step forward was proof that life goes on, even in the face of heartbreak. I often found myself replaying what could have been, asking why her needs seemed to pull her away from us. But eventually, I realized that some questions don't have answers, at least not the ones we want. What mattered most now was carving out a life that wasn't defined by the mistakes of the past. Therapy sessions became a sacred space. I confronted the torrent of emotions that came with betrayal, anger at the lies, grief for the loss of the family I thought I had, and frustration at the emptiness left behind. But therapy also taught me compassion, not for her, but for myself. I learned to forgive myself for things I never did wrong, and to release the burden of guilt she tried to place on me. Navigating the legal battles was exhausting. The custody process tested my resilience, but knowing my daughter was safe and loved fueled every argument and paper signed. Watching her grow without her mother's presence was heartbreaking, but I promised myself I would be both mother and father, filling every gap with love, patience, and unwavering support. Social media became a strange refuge and a reminder of the life left behind. Scrolling through posts of happy families, vacations, and shared moments stirred a deep mix of envy and sadness. But I slowly learned to close that chapter and focus on the story I was writing now, one where I was the hero fighting for a better tomorrow. Friends became my lifeline more than ever. They listened without judgment, offered shoulders to lean on, and provided distractions when grief threatened to overwhelm. Some nights, I sat up talking to them long after the kids had gone to bed, sharing fears about the future and hopes for healing. As time passed, I noticed subtle changes in myself. The ache of betrayal no longer consumed every moment. I started to embrace new hobbies, rediscover old passions, and focus on my own well-being. These were small acts of reclaiming a life I thought was lost forever. I often wonder how my daughter will understand her story someday. I can't protect her from every painful truth, but I vow to fill her world with love, truth, and strength. She deserves a life full of happiness, free from the shadows of broken promises, and I will do everything in my power to give her that. This journey has taught me invaluable lessons about resilience and courage. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes the people we love the most hurt us deeply. But we are more than the pain inflicted upon us. We have the power to rebuild, to heal, and to find peace, even when the path seems impossibly dark. As the dust settled and the months turned into nearly a year, I finally felt a sense of acceptance settling over me. The raw pain of betrayal had dulled to a persistent ache, a reminder of what was lost, but it no longer controlled me. I had become stronger, not just for myself, but for my daughter, who depends on me to be her rock. Our new life in Arizona brought unexpected blessings. The sun filled our days with warmth, and the wide open skies seemed to mirror the fresh start we desperately needed. My parents, who had moved with us, provided a comforting presence. Their happiness was contagious, and seeing their smiles helped me believe that better days were possible. My daughter thrived in this new environment, blossoming into the bright, curious little girl I always knew she could be. Every day was still a challenge, but we faced it together, the two of us. Her laughter filled the house and chased away the shadows of the past. Watching her grow and learn was a constant reminder that life's toughest moments do not define us, they shape us. Though the legal battle officially ended with full custody and the termination petition still pending, I knew we were free. Free from deception, free from the weight of lies, and free to build a life grounded in honesty and love. Her absence was painful, but it left space for a future I could shape on my own terms. The woman I once loved and trusted was no longer a part of our story. It was a painful truth, but one I'd learned to accept. I no longer wished for her return or begged for what could never be. Instead, I focused on healing, growth, and the hope of a happier tomorrow. Dating remains far from my mind, and that's okay. My priority has always been, and will continue to be, my daughter. Creating a stable, loving environment where she feels safe and cherished is the greatest gift I can give her. Looking back on the past year, I realize how much I've changed. Betrayal shattered my world, but it did not destroy me. The journey through anger and grief led me to resilience and self-discovery. I am learning every day to embrace this new version of myself, stronger, wiser, and ready to face life's challenges head-on. To anyone going through similar pain, know that you are not alone. The weight of heartbreak feels unbearable at times, but with time and support, you will find your way. One day, the sun will rise again and life will move forward. You can survive this, one small step at a time. This is not the ending I envisioned when I said I do, but it is a new beginning. A chance to write a different story filled with hope, love, and healing. Here's to new chapters and stronger tomorrows. Stronger tomorrows.